Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including new details about Tesla's Cybercab approval, Juniper production officially starting, Tesla's latest recall, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, Tesla is known for always being at the cutting edge of technology inside their EVs. Software updates are constantly rolling out, which improves these cars and adds new features, meaning your car will get better over the course of ownership. One of the biggest things that Tesla is investing very heavily into lately, though, is artificial intelligence. This is primarily to power the vehicle's full self-driving software, but also to eventually power a voice-activated personal assistant. Tesla has promised this voice assistant for a bit now, and while we still don't have any word on when exactly it will be arriving, a recent update has shown it may be coming soon. Now, when you enter your Tesla vehicle and activate the voice control feature, you can say hello or hi to your car, and it will respond back with another hello. Previously, the car would have simply said command not understood, which implies that Tesla is working on something here to allow natural language use with their voice control systems. You don't have to be running the latest software to have this work, as the responses seem to be coming from Tesla's own servers. In the past, Elon has talked about incorporating X's AI assistant Grok into all of their vehicles. At the same time, someone found code in a software update earlier this year that suggested Tesla would soon be adding a wake word for a voice-based personal assistant, similar to what you see with Siri or Alexa. Again, nothing here has been specifically announced, so we don't have any real insight into what may be coming or when. Based on everything we know and the fact that Tesla and Elon are so invested into AI technology, it seems likely that an AI-powered voice assistant may be coming soon. I'm very excited to see what this feature might entail and how long it will be until it arrives on customer vehicles. The other place that Tesla really does need to compete in this area is China. Chinese EVs that are competing with Teslas have features like this, so that may be what's inspiring them to do this even more so than the United States. Next up today, Tesla is recalling 694,304 vehicles in the United States due to a tire pressure monitoring system issue. This is a very large recall of Tesla vehicles, and it's absolutely covering the headlines as we usually see with a Tesla recall, but also, per usual here, the fix is very simple. Instead of the traditional idea of a recall, where this means owners have to bring their cars back, they have to recall them back to a dealer, this actually means that you're getting a software update that will fix this issue. The affected models include certain Model 3s and Ys and Cybertrucks, and basically the issue is that the TPMS warning light may not remain illuminated between drive cycles, which potentially doesn't alert drivers as to low tire pressure, which could in theory increase the risk of a crash. This is something that does need addressing and needs fixing, and Tesla is addressing it with an over-the-air software update. So clearly we still do need some sort of system here so that NHTSA can point out an issue that Tesla needs to fix, and then Tesla can proceed to fixing it. But something does need to change with this terminology. I think a lot of people have recommended we can simply call it a software recall, instead of just a basic recall. At this point, there's really no way to distinguish between 200,000 Ford vehicles being recalled to the dealer to replace the engine entirely because something was exploding, compared to you getting a software update overnight to fix a small tire pressure issue. For the first 3 quarters of this year, Tesla accounted for about 21% of all US vehicle recalls, and in the last quarter alone, they had 1.8 million vehicles recalled. These are all very large numbers and statistics, but again, most issues here were resolved via software updates. So at this point, it is accurate to say that 700,000 Tesla vehicles were recalled. This is a massive sweeping recall of tons of Tesla vehicles. However, it's very important to have that follow-up sentence that says the fix was a software update that cost owners nothing. One other change I saw this time around that is good to see is that owners are being notified via email instead of via mail. That became especially pointless in the past because people would receive the official letter of their recall, letting them know that they received a software update, and it was simply a very big waste of paper, so I'm glad to see that changing over to an email. Next up today, of course, Tesla's Juniper Model Y is coming on the horizon. For 2025, we're expecting this refresh that's going to take a lot from the Model 3 and add a couple of other things to distinguish the Model Y from previous years and make it a lot better. In a lot of people's minds, the Model Y refresh is long overdue, and now production is officially getting started. The latest reports from local Chinese media are saying that the Shanghai Gigafactory will be starting Model Y production at scale in January of 2025. They've already been going through trial production phases, and those will likely continue a little bit into January before things officially get started on this vehicle, but it's coming very soon. The interesting thing here is that we're still unsure how Tesla will release this car globally. For the Model 3, of course, they released it out of their Shanghai factory first, and then Fremont came a few months later. I have the feeling that they don't want to do this with the Model Y this time around, but it does seem like all the reports are coming out of China as to production starting soon. So maybe there still will be a delay out of their US factories. In any case, that's for the normal 5-seater Model Y coming out of China, but there still are plans for a 6-seater version that actually has a longer wheelbase. That is reportedly anticipated to start production in the fourth quarter of 2025 and will be specific for the Chinese market. That's an interesting one because that does seem like a vehicle that would be very popular in the United States, so maybe Tesla does have some different plans there. We know they're planning to make more affordable vehicles in 2025, so a lot could change coming up. This whole refresh cycle for Tesla has been very interesting because the Model 3 was something we saw ahead of time in the United States and a lot of people waited for. Then they kind of created that same effect with the Model Y, because it has been about a year of that new Model 3 shipping in the United States, while the Model Y, comparatively, actually has less features. Everyone knows how similar those two cars are, so this car at this point is long overdue, and I'm curious to see how they handle it this time around. They're dealing with 4 different factories for the Model Y relaunch or refresh, but we do know that January seems to be the timeline for Giga Shanghai finally launching this new vehicle. I'll be sure to keep you posted on everything we hear about that new Model Y Juniper, and I'm excited to finally see it in 2025. Next up, for Tesla's Robotaxi, that is arguably the most exciting product in their future pipeline, and Franz von Holzhausen recently did an interview about this car at the Peterson Museum. The Peterson Museum in Los Angeles is a great automotive museum, and they have the Cybercab on display for the next few weeks. Basically, in the interview, Franz goes on to talk about how this is fully autonomous, it will be something you can own, purchase, or lease, and it allows transport from A to B that previously wasn't really possible. There's no rear window in this car, specifically because it allows for more storage, and because as a passenger who is not driving, you aren't going to be looking in your rear. That's definitely a very interesting approach to see for the Cybercab, and I'm curious to see how first rides go once this finally launches, and if people feel a little uncomfortable that they can't see behind them. In any case, it has very big wheels that he said kind of hide the small size of this vehicle. And then, of course, it's very futuristic. It has no steering wheel, it only has 2 seats, and then it has a massive screen. And the justification for only 2 seats is that 90 to 95% of rides are 2 or less. But they do have other vehicles in their lineup and future vehicles for more passengers. Right there, there's a lot of speculation to be had, and people are speculating that there's already more plans for other robotaxis from Tesla. Obviously, if they succeed with this initial Cybercab and they can actually launch that service, it seems incredibly clear that they will be launching more versions of this into the future to satisfy every segment. But for the meantime, they actually mean the Model 3, Model Y, Model S, Model X, and Cybertruck. That's because all of those cars have their full self-driving computers, and they've talked many times about all of these cars becoming robotaxis. The Cybercab is different because it doesn't have a steering wheel, and the Model Y will be a little interesting because, as a passenger, you will watch the steering wheel drive for you. But they absolutely demonstrated this at the We Robot event. They had 20 Cybercabs going around the lot, but they also had many Model Ys self-driving as well. So I think for the near future, they're satisfying the majority of rides with the Cybercab, and then they have their entire other vehicle lineup. But they really gave us the extremes, a 2-passenger vehicle, and then the Robo-Van, which is about 20 people. So somewhere in between, they're going to be making other vehicles in the future. For now, the Cybercab has over 200 miles of range, and they said a ride will be about the cost of a bus ride, but you have your own capsule, so it's much more comfortable and efficient. Basically, this car is the future of the yellow cab, making it gold, and he said to stay tuned because of future vehicles like that bus. Other details about the Robotaxi have been coming in lately, like the fact that, quote, we're going to be delivering a car that has roughly half the parts of Model 3 today. Overall, all of this leads to efficiency and brings down the cost of production on that car, which brings down the cost per ride when this is able to deliver it. But now that Tesla is actually moving towards getting California and Texas to have approval for these robotaxis in 2025 and functionality, quote, Tesla believes it would be reasonable to assume some type of teleoperator would be needed at least initially for safety/redundancy purposes. As mentioned in 2025, Tesla wants to kick off autonomous ride-sharing in California and Texas, and they are now in touch with officials in Austin, Texas specifically for this. Employees at Tesla have been in touch with the city's Autonomous Vehicle Task Force since May to establish safety expectations here. What's very interesting is that in some of the markets Tesla will likely launch this in, Waymo has actually somewhat paved the way for them, because Waymo is already operating self-driving robotaxis in a lot of markets. So they got their approval, and obviously Tesla will have to get that approval as well, but it seems like the system is already there for it to be done if they can prove the functionality. Tesla has been pilot testing a system in the Bay Area for employees that utilizes robotaxis, but that system is utilizing their cars today with backup safety drivers. So the next steps into the future are obviously for full self-driving to develop and get that much better to where we can trust it to drive for us all the time. Then there will be safety drivers, like we're seeing there, where you take an autonomous ride in a Model Y, but there's a safety driver there for you that can take over if needed. Then there will be teleoperators for the Cybercab, since there's nobody actually in there, and then eventually long-term there will be no backup drivers. Tesla's full self-driving AI and neural network will get good enough to the point where it is much more reliable than a human driver. So maybe there will be the occasional instance where a Cybercab gets stuck somewhere and Tesla does have to teleoperate in to get it out of its situation. But the idea here, and the reason cost comes down, is because humans don't actually need to be involved in this process whatsoever. You simply put in your destination, the car gets you there safer than you can today, and it costs less than an Uber ride costs today. Next up today, wrapping your Tesla vehicle is one of the coolest and flashiest ways to customize your EV. You can either get clear films just to protect your underlying paint job, or even wrap your car in any pattern or color that you want. Tesla has offered this service themselves for a little bit, but color choices were limited compared to many other wrap providers. That has changed, however, as Tesla has just announced a revamp to their wrap service that makes it even better. Tesla has just added a lot of flexibility to their in-house wrap service and are now offering a lot more options for an even lower price. They say on their website, quote, "Customize your Tesla with a vinyl wrap. Available in a variety of colors, textures, and patterns, these wraps are made from polyvinyl chloride, making them extra durable, versatile, and removable. Choose between matte, satin, and gloss finishes." If we look at the pictures that they have on their website, we can see just how many varieties there are and colors available. There are many different options here that give these cars a really unique look compared to their base paint options. While this revamped service is very cool to see, the actual ordering process is a bit strange. First, you choose whether you will be wrapping a 2023 or newer Model 3 or Model Y, which costs $4,000, or a Cybertruck, which costs $4,500. While they do have a lot of pictures on their website that show potential colors and textures, they don't actually have a list of the available options for you to look through before ordering. Instead, you have to place an order and then bring your car into service for a consultation at one of the 5 eligible service centers. Only once you are at the appointment do you actually get to see the colors and textures and get to decide what you want. People hypothesize that this process is this way because ultimately Tesla will be able to do pretty much any color that they want. In practice, though, it's unclear if it will actually be so smooth. What would happen if you arrive at service, look at the options, and weren't happy with them? Probably a refund, but just an annoying process. It's a strange choice to structure it this way, and it might end up creating issues, but we'll have to see. Nevertheless, it's very exciting to see that Tesla is doing such a big revamp to their wrap service. The previous iteration was limited in a lot of ways, so this new implementation will likely make Tesla a much more competitive entrant into the wrap market. Next up today, although some are quick to write off the growing success of the EV market, the actual sales numbers paint a different picture. Some like to portray the EV industry as being on the cusp of collapse, but in actuality, sales of these vehicles are hitting record highs all the time. As final sales data from 2024 starts to come in, we are seeing just how much this is actually the case. EV sales from the month of November were good globally, and it marked the 7th consecutive month of growth for the industry. This data does include plug-in hybrids as well as full electric vehicles, but their combined growth is up 32% year over year. This marks the 3rd in a row where the industry achieved record high sales. China in particular is playing a big part in this growing EV market. In the month of November, that country accounted for 70% of all global EV sales and were up by a whopping 50%. China is known for having a lot of EV competition, with many of their local companies offering vehicles at extremely affordable prices. BYD, for example, offers fully electric vehicles in that market for as little as $10,000. In particular, these prices and incentives have created a market where 50% of new cars sold in China are electric. For comparison, EV sales in the US made up only about 10% of global sales and saw growth rates around 16.8%. Europe saw about 15% of global sales, but is actually going through a slight sales slump. They are down slightly year over year, but are still up 7.7% from October. While full electrification is going well in China, rates are a bit slower in the rest of the world. Still, the takeaway here is that sales are still continuing to grow for the rest of the world as well. Electrification is the future of transportation, and while some countries are slower to adopt than others, the industry is still growing steadily. As companies start to roll out more affordable models and Tesla begins to ship their next slate of exciting products, I think we are due for some big growth in the industry very soon. Next up today, the Cybertruck has been out for over a year at this point, but the question remains, will Tesla launch the Cybertruck beyond North America? Right now, we're seeing a lot of them in the United States, as well as their expansion into Canada and Mexico. But long term, will they bring it to other countries? Some countries will not actually be able to support the Cybertruck because of strict pedestrian safety laws, but other countries may be able to get it, and there were rumors last week that Tesla would be bringing the Cybertruck to China. China is one of Tesla's best markets, and it's what has helped them grow in large part. So earlier this week, Tesla China officially denied rumors that they had intentions to bring the Cybertruck to market currently. Many were disappointed to hear this, but Elon did previously say that, quote, getting Cybertruck road legal in China would be very difficult, but we could ship some prototypes over for display. They did bring over some prototypes, and now they are denying these rumors. However, Tesla has received an automobile energy consumption label for the Cybertruck after completing a filing with the MIIT. In this filing, specs were included, and the Chinese government officially lists the Cybertruck as an M1 passenger vehicle. So this is definitely curious timing. Maybe this is why there were rumors that Tesla would be bringing the Cybertruck to market soon, but it is weird that we saw those rumors, and then a couple days later, we see that it actually has been gaining approval. This is just one of the things necessary to actually bring this to sale, so it could still take some time, but it's odd timing nonetheless. If the Cybertruck did come to China, it would definitely help Tesla with Cybertruck sales, and it would help them expand from there, but we will see. Last up today, some updates from other automakers. As the EV market continues to expand, legacy automakers are starting to understand the importance of shifting towards full electrification. Many of these companies are recognizing that their current EV lineups are too limited or insufficient to compete with the top players. While some automakers are waffling on their promises to electrify, others are taking this very seriously. As such, Honda and Nissan are reportedly in talks to merge in order to bolster their collective EV offerings. This deal would bring both automakers under an umbrella holding company along with Mitsubishi, making this one of the largest potential automotive mergers in years since Stellantis was formed back in 2021. This deal is still in the early negotiation stages, but reportedly EV development is central to this plan. Both companies have reportedly faced a lot of pressure, as BYD in nearby China is rapidly eating into their market share thanks to their huge slate of electric options. It will be very interesting to see how this deal shapes up and what new cars we can see from it. It's always exciting to see legacy automakers take EV development seriously, and I can't wait to see what happens here, although it does seem like something always gets delayed. Over at Rivian, they have just announced a pretty major milestone in their partnership with Amazon. For a while now, the EV maker has been supplying Amazon with a fleet of fully electric vans that they use to deliver packages from their fulfillment centers. These vans are very cool, and with their frequent stops and short relative distances driven, delivering packages has proven the perfect use case for an EV. Back in 2019, Amazon pledged that they would fully electrify their entire delivery fleet by 2030, and they partnered with Rivian to purchase 100,000 electric delivery vehicles. The first Rivian electric delivery vehicle, or EDV, debuted with Amazon back in 2022, and now the company has just announced the addition of their 20,000th fleet edition. These vehicles are now in use across the entire United States, with 300 of them set to make their debut in Europe soon. Rivian has been steadily increasing their deliveries of these vehicles and are on their way to fulfilling that large 100,000 vehicle order. For reference, in March of 2023, Rivian had delivered 3,000 of these EDVs, meaning they added 17,000 more in a bit over a year and a half. Their production rate is surely ramping up even further, so we could see this fleet expand even more rapidly. Amazon has already delivered 1 billion packages using these vans in 2024 alone, so it will be very impressive to see their further growth using these vans. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see the right way to buy a Tesla based on my regrets, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.